This is Gabriel Gonzalez for Cageside Press, and I am here with Danyelle Wolf, the boxer turned mixed martial artist who is going to be fighting at Dana White's Contender Series on September 15th against Tanisha Tennant. Danyelle, first off, there's a lot of questions. You're probably one of the more unique fighters to enter Dana White's Contender Series. I want to start first. Obviously, you've been in big fights for boxing, trying to make the Olympics and everything. How is the, I guess, change in attention to go onto a program like the Contender Series for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another day at work, you know. I mean, I'm a fighter. This is what I do. I've been an athlete my entire life, you know, since I was 6 years old. So, yeah, I've been a competitor my entire life. So it doesn't matter if it's on the basketball court or a boxing ring or in an octagon. You know, I'm always mentally, physically, spiritually prepared for whatever's in front of me.
I guess, you know, look, women's boxing and then, of course, going into the Olympics is one animal, but have you seen just an uptick? Do more people just seem to be aware of you since they announced your fight for Contender?
It was funny. They announced my fight, I think, just for like 1 minute on a UFC card the other day. And like just in 1 minute, I gained like 1,000 followers. So yeah, so it was pretty cool. I'm excited to see, you know, what the future holds. You know, it's just a great time to be in the sport of female MMA, and you know, I'm excited to be, you know, a pioneer of, you know, the sport of female fighting.
Now, can you set the record straight? Because I feel like every time people do research, they get a bit of a, I guess, contradicting reports. Is your record 27-14 amateur or professional in boxing?
That's not even near close.
Or what is that number supposed to be?
I don't know. I really need to count them. I mean, I have over like 80 boxing fights. So over 80. So definitely not 14. I mean, just in one boxing tournament, on Team USA, you get 5, you know, so you get like 4 to 5 fights that you're fighting in a week. So like we have to weigh in every day or every other day on Team USA tournaments like Continental Championships, Golden National Gloves, National Golden Gloves, and Ringside World Championships. And so all of our type of tournaments are 7 days long. We have to weigh in 4 to 5 times, and you fight 4 times, sometimes 5. So I mean, I was on Team USA 2012 to 2016, and I was the reigning national champ. I was the reigning continental champ, reigning ringside world champ, reigning golden national gloves champ. So I have a lot of fights, but you start to lose track after a while. It's not like the UFC where you get 4 a year. You know, when you're on, you know, Team USA boxing team, you know, you're traveling all around the world. You know, I, you know, won the Continental Championships in Venezuela. I won the Continental Championships again in Guadalajara. You know, so what else? There's a lot of fights. So I know everybody asks me how many fights. I'm like, I don't know, around 80. You lose track at 30, you know. So like when you're at 30, you're just like, oh, I know I fought this person and this person and this person, and you know everything. And then like after 30, you're like, am I at 40? Then you're at like 60, and then at 60, you're like, I don't know, is it 70? I have no idea. So that's why it was so difficult to find amateur MMA fights is I had 16 girls back out. So, you know, I wanted to get my feet wet, you know, as they would say, and get into MMA, like getting into amateur MMA fights like right away. So like in 2016, so after I was on Team USA from 2012 to 2016, they announced that they were going to add my weight class to the 2016 games. So I was so excited. I mean, I was in the ESPN body issue in 2015. They announced they were going to have my weight class in 2015. You know, I got to go to the ESPY Awards. Like I got to walk the red carpet with like The Rock, and it was just so fun. And I was like, man, this is, they're going to add of 2016 Olympic Games. You know, I'm the reigning continental champion. I'm going in there. I'm gonna win gold. You know, at the Olympic Games for USA. Like, I'm so excited. And then, you know, there's 10 weight classes for Team USA male team. All 10 men go to the Olympic Games. And then for female Team USA team back in 2015, there's only 3 weight classes that went to the Olympics out of the 10 of us. So they rumored to add 2 more weight classes. It was going to be my weight class and I think 1 other weight class. And I think it was like 125 or something. And then right at the last second, it didn't get the, I guess, you know, like if you're going to add female boxing, you have to like take out speed walking, or you like, they can't just add 50,000 sports. So there has to be room to add, you know, these sports and these weight classes. So it didn't make the cut, and I was crushed. I was crushed back, you know, around 2016. I was just like, man, I'm like, this was my shot, like, to go to the Olympic Games, and you know, at my weight class, which is 152. And I was just like, I really want to, you know, represent my country. And it's been a dream of mine since first grade. And then, yeah, then it didn't get added. And I remember I like sat on the couch like a zombie, just like I just like was reigning champ at 152 for the past 4 years, which that's a lot of fights. I mean, that's a lot of tournaments. And like I said, every tournament has 4 to 5 fights. You're weighing in every other day. And so let's see, like in just 4 years, I mean, you're having, let's just say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So in like a year on Team USA, you're having 30 fights.
Oh,
okay. So I was the reigning champ at 152 for 4 years in a row. So you kind of do the math there. So even if you're like, okay, it wasn't 30 a year, which it usually is 30 a year, you could say, okay, it was 20 a year. Let's shoot down. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 in just 4 years. And I've been boxing for 9. So yeah. So I don't know how many fights I have. And then you have like these little passport booklets, right, for your fights. But then if you lose a passport booklet, it's gone. And then you don't know how many fights you have. And then they say it's like recorded on Sheerdog. It's not. That's totally inaccurate.
yeah.
So I have no idea. So what I need to do is like sit down and like look at all my belts and be like, okay, I had 5 fights that tournament. Okay, and that championship belt I had 4. That medal I had 4. That medal I had 4. That medal, you know what I mean? I need to do that. It's on my to-do list. But right now I have bigger things to go after, like this UFC Contender Series fight than to count how many wins I have, you know?
I will say, you got to send that email to the good people at Boxing Rec, because they're the ones in Tapology wrongly reporting that.
Are they the ones that say I have 14 fights?
27 and 14. They have you listed at like 41 fights overall, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
And it specifies on Boxing Rec, it says that they're amateur. On Tapology, it says they're pro. I'm assuming amateur because you can't do Olympics if you've had pro fights. So just for the record.
USA national boxing team if you have pro fights.
Okay.
So I have 0 pro anything. I've never had a pro fight.
Just to confirm. Can I ask you, because I know with women's boxing, we've talked to plenty in MMA. So many of them are like, I love boxing, but there's just not enough opportunities. The girls in MMA, UFC, there's just, you know, it's more of a level playing field. There's more opportunity to grow your brand and be there on par with the men. For yourself, I mean, look, body issue and all that. You're doing stand-up comedy that I want to talk to you about. You're a very marketable person. How much does the, I guess, financial aspect and wanting to, you know, take care of yourself and, you know, everything financially go into jumping into MMA? Because I'm assuming you don't get 80 plus fights unless you really, really love boxing.
Yeah. I mean, so wait, what's your question?
I guess it's like, how much did the financial opportunities in MMA play into wanting to jump into it, as opposed to, hey, let me be a Clarissa Shields, Michaela Mayer, stick with boxing?
You know what? To be honest, I'm just like a well-rounded athlete, okay? Like, I've played every single sport, okay? I don't even think there's another female on this earth that has played as many sports as I have. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm like, someone told me I'm like the female Bo Jackson. Like, you know, Bo Jackson? Or are you too young for that?
I remember. I know Bo knows. Danyelle, I'm a little insulted. That hurt.
Hey, you're young. You look great. I'm
Uh,
saying I'm
uh,
old.
well,
So
thank you for being sweet, but that hurt.
when
No, I'm kidding.
someone says that to you, it's a compliment. So
Thank
when you
you.
get older, they're gonna say, "Oh yes, they think I'm younger." So when you get older, then that's a compliment.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
Okay.
yeah, like people say that you know, they say to me that I'm like the female Bo Jackson, and and it's funny because I played every single sport, you know. So from a little girl, you know, I played field hockey, basketball, track, soccer, softball, triathlons, professional mountain biking, cross country racing. What else? You know, then boom, I was 25 years old when I picked up my first boxing glove. And then I made Team USA. Then I traveled all around the world for Team USA. And then I didn't start doing MMA until I was what, 32, 33, 33, 34? I don't even know. So I didn't start doing MMA until I was like way older. So I've been an athlete my entire life. I've been in peak shape my entire life. I love being healthy. I love eating pure. I don't take any supplements. I don't take vitamins. I don't take anything. You know, I love getting all my nutrients from food and organic food. And, you know, I've been, you know, I don't want to say blessed and I don't want to say lucky because I work for being healthy. You know what I mean? Like I'm disciplined of what I put in my body, you know, and at the age that I'm at, there's so many people that are like, oh, well, I'm in my 30s, you know, so they let themselves go or things like that. So I don't think I'm lucky. I think I'm disciplined to, you know, eat healthy, do my due diligence of, you know, researching nutrition and, you know, portion control and macros and micros. You know, so I feel that back to your question of why I chose MMA rather than boxing is because MMA is like the ultimate test. It is the ultimate test. Like boxing, I mean, I've been on Team USA for 4 years, and you know, I had a lot of teammates that you put a basketball in their hand and they're just like absolutely not coordinated. And my jaw dropped. Like I'll never forget. We're at the Olympic Training Center, and you know, my team and we had to have like a what was it called? Like a day where it's like it's our rest day, active recovery. So we had an active recovery day where we were supposed to play basketball, and I'm thinking like, yeah, boxing takes so much cardio. You have to be such an athlete for it. Like cool. Like we're gonna play ball, and then all my teammates we go play ball. My jaw dropped. My teammates suck so bad at basketball. And I'm thinking, like, how can you be such a great athlete at boxing and then so uncoordinated for basketball, you know? And I remember I'm dribbling and like and I see the other teammates dribbling and I see them trying to shoot the ball and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then they were all like, you know, we were all laughing at, you know, ourselves about how just awful they were at basketball. And I was the only one that could play basketball. And then we had one other girl that could kind of shoot, but she couldn't dribble. And I was just like, how can you guys not play basketball? You know, like, this is crazy. You guys are athletes. And they just could not. And then same thing, like, you know, when we go run or something like that, like we would have to do these like altitude runs, you know, in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center. And, you know, I mean, like 90% of them don't run. None of them run. They're not fast at sprints. And, you know, like, so it's like, so boxing is cool. And there's a science to boxing and it is a great foundation for MMA. And yes, you have to be an athlete, but I feel like I'm such a well-rounded athlete. Like I played soccer, I played basketball, I can run, I can do triathlons, I can swim. You know, I can use my feet, you know, I can lift my feet up, you know, and kick, I can wrestle, I can change, you know, levels, you know. So I was just very, you know, inspired to do MMA because I wanted to use my all-around athletic ability. And, you know, that's really the type of athlete that really excels in MMA is, you know, somebody that has a boxing background or has a wrestling background, but then they also are well-rounded athletes, right? I think that's so important. You can't just be a boxer and go into MMA. You have to be a boxer and be a well-rounded athlete and go into MMA. That is the big difference. I know that, there's some athletes, like I think Clarissa Shields for a while was saying that, she's going to cross over to MMA and take over everyone in MMA. That's absolute bullcrap. You have to have respect for the sport of MMA, and you have to respect that it is not just striking. If you come into MMA as just a boxer, you're going to get your leg kicked out if you don't know how to react to kicking. You are going to throw your jabs and throw whatever, and you're going to be immediately taken down in wrestling. So you can't just be a great boxer, because you will get taken down by great wrestlers, and you will get your leg kicked out by great kickboxers. So you have to be a well-rounded athlete. You have to respect the sport. You have to, put in the work as a mixed martial artist and as a student. And that's what I think I did, really well on in the past couple of years now that I've been doing MMA. And I'm really excited to see how I put it all together, really.
Can I ask, your combat sports background and athletic background, I think, are very well documented. I want to hear about something that I don't think is going to make it to the Contender Series broadcast. What's your best joke in your bit for stand-up comedy that you've been performing lately?
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot. See, I don't really have jokes. I don't have jokes.
So what do you talk about?
I don't have oh, this guy crossed the road and then blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's honestly just people that I deal with on a regular basis, or trying out Bumble for a month during quarantine, and the people that I deal with. It's really all honest to God stories. And I don't make up jokes. I don't make up stories. I honestly just have to talk about my life and the ridiculous crap that goes on in it. And I always tell people this. I always tell people, the more you do in your life, the more ridiculous people you have to deal with. I run a business, and I have to deal with ridiculous people all the time. And, I run boot camps. I train with all guys. I tried an online dating site, Bumble, I think it's called, and tried that out. And you just get ridiculous people. It's hilarious, and as long as you just keep a good attitude about everything, and just understand that everyone on this planet, deals with stress differently. They deal with COVID differently. They deal with walking their dogs on a leash or off a leash differently, So there's just so many ridiculous things that happen on a daily, day-to-day basis that you don't even need to make up jokes. You don't need to make stuff up. There's enough ridiculous people out there to just tell ridiculous stories. And that's all I do, is I just tell the truth, and I just tell some funny, ridiculous stories. And
so what happened to you on Bumble?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? Do I start with the pictures of the guys holding fish to the camera, and they're showing you look, I caught this fish for you? I don't understand that, but I could go on forever about Bumble. Or the fact that I'm a fighter and every single person has to tell me their fighting background. Oh, when I was in 4th grade, I did karate for 2 months. All right, cool. What are you? You're an accountant? Oh, cool. I did my taxes this year. I don't care if you did karate for 2 weeks when you're in 4th grade, or your uncle did the Golden Gloves when he was in 1955. It's ridiculous. Everybody has to tell you what their fighting background is, or their uncle's fighting background. So
can I ask, does that, okay, you're on Bumble. Does it matter to you, if a guy's you know what, I just run and I cycle, I never do any mitt work or nothing, is he still, eligible? Put it that way.
That's funny. People are like, what is your type, Danielle? And it's you know what? I don't even know. I do know. Let me rephrase that. You have to be fit. I have these guys that will respond to me, and I'm like, come on, man. They don't even know what the word organic means. It's not, reach out to me if you don't even know what the word organic means, or macros, Like, it's like, come on, you know, like, let's, you know, I feel like on Bumble, there should be like a fast lane and a slow lane, you know what I mean? Like, just like driving, there should be a fast lane and a slow lane, because it's like, you know, it's like, if you don't know what macros are and, you know, you don't know what the word organic means, maybe stay in the slow lane, you know? For the people that are like, we're all organic, we're working out every day, you know, we know what macros are, we're speeding by those people, you know what I mean? But I'm just kidding. There's so many examples for the slow lane and fast lane, but I did that at my first stand-up. But, you know, like, I don't even, you know, claim to be a jokester. It's just like, I just have all types of like funny, ridiculous stories. And during COVID, I started hosting these like outdoor little events, because like so many people are like miserable and depressed and gaining weight and all this stuff. And I'm like, and I adapted very well. Like, I'm doing like outdoor beach workouts, and I'm painting outside, and like
the wolf pack.
I know, and like, you know, I'm doing all this stuff to entertain myself and to stay active and to stay healthy mentally. And I saw a lot of people struggling from that, you know, not having their normal routines of going to the gym or going to the bar to be social like a lot of people do. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to start doing, you know, social activities outside that are healthy to like help people that I know and even just help the community. So I started running boot camps. Like, I was training like every other day on the beach, and people started seeing me training, and they're like, oh, do you train people? And I was like, no, you know, I'm just an athlete, staying in shape, you know, like, because, you know, all my gyms are closed. So so then people started asking me if they could join. And then my friends started asking me if I could join. And then yeah, so then people walking by asking. So I was like, yeah, sure, come, you know, next Saturday. You know, I'm not going to let them train with me every day, but come next Saturday, you know, once a week, I'll run like a boot camp for the community, right? So I started doing that, and then I called it the Wolfpack Boot Camp. And then it went from like 15 friends one Saturday. Then the next Saturday it was like 30. And then the next Saturday it was 50. And I had 5 vendors and a DJ and a videographer and a photo guy. Like, and it was awesome. And now I've been doing it for like 4 months now, for like pretty much all of COVID. And people have lost 25 pounds, 30 pounds. You know, like, people have been like, dude, if it wasn't for, you know, the Wolfpack Boot Camp, you know, I would have been in a really dark space. And, you know, so it gives me goosebumps just like thinking about that, you know, just thinking about like all these great people that have been coming to my boot camps, that they would have been in a really dark space if they didn't have the boot camp, you know? So I'm just really excited, you know, that I was able to, you know, just create such a cool, you know, crew, you know, of people, and they've met so many friends from it, and it's kept them out of those dark places. It's kept them from, you know, getting unhealthy and potentially, you know, catching COVID. And yeah, so many people, you know, went into COVID and gained weight, and everybody at the boot camp lost weight. So I think it's so cool. And then on top of that, I was like, you know what, man, like, I personally miss, like, I don't go to bars or clubs or drink. It's very rare. I probably drink like once a year, but how I like do my like going out is I go to comedy clubs, right? So I go to like the La Jolla Comedy Store like all the time, and like pretty much like every weekend. That's what I did when, you know, it wasn't COVID. I was just like, you know, you train your butt off all week, and then it's Friday night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out to eat somewhere, invite some of my friends. We go out to like a nice place to eat in La Jolla, and then we go to the La Jolla Comedy Store, and I love it. I can do it every weekend. I never get sick of it. Like, how can you get sick of like going to a nice restaurant and then going and laughing your face off on a Friday night? Like, it's awesome. So I do it like every week. So now during COVID, you know, like, I'm like, man, like, I miss laughing every Friday. I said, you know what? I'm going to host my own stand-up comedy outdoor show. And I'm going to like contact the local, you know, stand-up comedians and see if anybody wants to, you know, do stand-up. So, and, you know, like, they're out of work and stuff. I was like, so I'll like charge like $5 per person so that I can tip out the, you know, so I can tip out the comedians and tip out like the bonfire guy that sets up the bonfires, and so that we can have like a cool event. And then I even got vendors to like give free popcorn and free Koya drinks. It was awesome. And I had 300 people show up to my first comedy show. And then everybody was like, you do a stand-up. You do a stand-up. And I was like, man, I've been so busy with training and setting that up. I'm like, I don't have any time to do it. And I didn't have time to prepare. And then they're like, dude, just go up there and just talk about your funny stuff. I was like, okay. So I like went up and I just started telling funny stories. Started talking about the month of Bumble. I talked about just all kinds of funny stuff. And I mean, there's so many ridiculous people, in this world, like, and just funny situations that you get in. So it's the material is endless.
I mean, I think that speaks a lot to why you were chosen for Contender Series. I mean, look, we've seen you've posted them on your website. You have, plenty of photo shoots, some more risque than others. You've done Body Issue, which is obviously very popular. You're doing stand-up comedy. Very bluntly, you don't normally see 0-0 fighters making it to UFC, let alone Contender, because obviously they're looking for people they know are ready for the big show. I think Contenders and the UFC, they definitely see, potential in you. I gotta ask you the elephant in the room. You fight at 145. A lot of people feel like it could go the way of the T-Rex and go extinct if Amanda Nunes beats Megan Anderson in December. Do you feel like that affects your chances to get a UFC contract because 145 may not be around past this year?
It's definitely not going to be extinct. There's been so many great female athletes that have, really paved the way for female MMA. And, like Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg, these are, even Joanna, these are great athletes that have really paved the way for female MMA. And, it's absolutely not over. It has to do with, people's characters and how entertaining they are, inside and outside the octagon, So I think, like why, people like McGregor and, and a couple other athletes that are just very talkative and very active and into the community and into giving back and, just fun to listen to and good talkers or not even good talkers, just talkers, I think it's important to, not just be a champion and win belts and just, go on your daily lifestyle, but to win belts and be inspiring and be motivating and create an empire and encourage other people to create their own empires, So I think that it's very important that when these females do get the opportunity to have a platform, I think it's very important to be a champion, whether you're a champion or not, have that champion mindset of going out there, inspiring other people to just, get out there and get after it. And, that's what I try to encourage. And I think it's very important that, when you do have that platform and especially when you have that belt is, be active with it, be an active champion and, just be entertaining and inspire and encourage people. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think that we need more athletes that are motivating and encouraging and positive and, they put on a show inside and outside the octagon. I think that's very important.
Now, the next one is a two-part question because let's say for whatever reason the UFC in particular says, we don't know where we're at with the featherweight division for us. Do you see yourself possibly using the Contender Series exposure and, hey, you may be interested in talking to the Bellators, the PFLs of the world about possibly joining their roster?
Man, I'm all about being with the biggest and the best show, So, we're going to do the Contender Series and then we're going to see where it goes, So, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to, perform on the Contender Series. I'm very appreciative that, Dana White and the UFC, gave me this opportunity. But I'm absolutely ready. It doesn't matter if I'm 0-0. If I would have had those 16 MMA fights, I would have been 16-0. So, but I didn't get to have those fights because the girls did back out all 16 fights. And, of course, I didn't want to sign, a 3-year contract, with a smaller organization just to get my feet wet because then I would have been stuck in that organization for the next 3 years. And I'm definitely confident that all I had to do, even though all those 16 girls, backed out of the fights, is put in a little bit more time of getting the experience of, getting the training and being a student of MMA and going just straight to the big dogs. So I'm ready.
If you do make the UFC roster, let's be honest, Amanda Nunes has already fought Felicia Spencer. She's already fought Megan Anderson. You would now become the only featherweight that the champion has not fought in the UFC. And now I know a lot of people are going to be like, "This, you are not saying this 0-0 person today, just today, is about to fight Amanda Nunes." But Danyelle, where else do we go? So I'm going to toss it to you. If you make the UFC roster, how do you feel about where you would be, considering that there's not that many women at 145?
Well, hey, I'm ready. The wolf versus the lion. Sounds great. I'm ready.
So, former boxer, people may not realize this, but you have competed and won tournaments in jiu-jitsu, but you are fighting.
I've competed in two.
Yes.
Internet, no facts straight about me at all whatsoever. So we need to do some clarifying for sure before my fight.
You gotta talk to the internet, people. I just read what I find. No, but well, hey, this is why we do interviews, to get the record straight. Anyway,
Exactly.
but you've competed in both. You're not just gonna be a girl who's never grappled a day in your life going out there to contenders. My point. You are fighting though a very more experienced fighter in Tanisha Tennant. What do you see in her as an opponent?
Yeah, I mean, when I first crossed over to MMA back in 2016, I put the gi on. And I had the gi on every day, all day, 5 hours a day for months. I hated my life. I would sit there with this gi on, and it's like hot because I'm used to boxing. So like you're in like, a wife beater or something, like little shorts and like boxing shoes and like, you know what I mean? Like a gi, you're wearing like a rash guard and then a huge robe over it and pants and like this belt that you have to keep tying on every 3 seconds. And then, you know what I mean? Like way different. So like I'd be taking these, jiu-jitsu classes and just getting smashed by these experienced guys. And like, I'm looking over like at the boxing class and I'm like, I could just go over there and take that boxing class, show everybody what I'm made out of. And I'm like, no, Danielle, you gotta sit here, get smashed by this freaking black belt jiu-jitsu guy for hours until you become comfortable months down the road. I'm like, just stick with it. And months from now, you will feel comfortable. So I remember months down the road, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody. I just want to see for myself, like how I do against girls. Cause I was always training with guys, just getting smashed. And I was like, I want to see like how I do with girls and, like see how I do and like put myself to the test. I don't want to make a big deal about it. I don't want like it to be like Team USA boxer coming over to the jiu-jitsu tournament. I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my instructor or anything. And I show up to, I think it was like Jiu-Jitsu World League Championships. So I show up to Jiu-Jitsu World League Championships by myself, okay? By myself, and didn't tell anybody. Show up. I didn't even really know how to tie like my Jiu-Jitsu belt right. Like I'd always be like, how am I tying this right? And everybody would be like, yeah, you're fine. So I was always tying it wrong. And then I go to the Jiu-Jitsu World League Championships, I think at like month 4, and I go there. And I can't remember. No, it was IBJJF. Hold on. So I go to the World League Championships, and I remember I did my weight class, and I didn't even know what the word absolute was. So I guess there's like your weight class and then absolute weight class. I didn't even know what that meant. They're like, so like I beat all my girls. I think it was like 3 jiu-jitsu matches that week, and I beat all those like in submissions. I submitted them, and then they asked me if I wanted to compete in the absolute division. I was like, I don't even know what that means. And I was like, but yeah, let's go. And they were like, absolute was like all the weight classes. And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. So then I competed in absolute, and then I beat that girl as well. So I won in the absolute weight division and in my weight division at the World League Championships. And then I had some friends that were doing the jiu-jitsu or talking about doing the IBJJF World Championships. That's like the big one, And my friend was like, yeah, I might do it. I might not. I don't know. and they had, wet feet about it. And I was like, dude, just do it. You do jiu-jitsu every day for years. Like, if you're going to do it, measure yourself, like, see where you're at, in the game. Like, measure yourself, go compete. You don't have to win, but go compete, see how well you do. And then, like, make adjustments after. Like, it's not like you have to win, like, but just go and, like, compete and get that experience, you'll be better for it. And so my friend was like, you do it. And then I was like, fine, I'll do it. Like, I'm not trying to be a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And I was like, but I'll do it, And they're like, oh, you think you're big stuff because you won the World League Championships. I'm like, no, I'm trying to encourage you to, like, test yourself. That's what I'm doing. I'm testing myself. I'm like, test yourself. Go test yourself. So then they're like, fine, I'll do it if you do it. And I said, all right, I'll do the IBJJF World Championships. Even though I'm not trying to be a jiu-jitsu person, I'll do it, So that's when I went to the IBJJF. I think I told one person I was doing it. And I think I told my instructor. And then, like, at the last minute, my instructor was like, oh, I didn't know you were doing it. Like, I can't go. And I was like, all right. Like, I did the World League ones by myself. It's fine. Like, I don't even know how to warm up. I just, like, sit there and I'm like, how do you warm up for this? Do I shadow box? Like, what do I do? So I'm, like, just, like, stretching my hamstrings out. And then I just go straight onto the jiu-jitsu mat. And, yeah, and there was really good girls. I mean, of course, IBJJF World Championships, like, the white belts are really blue belts. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to get that world championship medal. It's a really nice medal. It's in my bedroom right now. But yeah, so it's a really nice medal. So everybody is really like a blue belt, like a mid, seasoned blue belt, even sometimes very seasoned blue belt. So I remember I went to the IBJJF Worlds and I still didn't know how to tie my belt. So I, like, go and, like, she measures my sleeves or whatever. And then she, like, looks at my belt and, like, looks at me like, this girl is not competing. She does not even know how to tie her belt,
Oh, that's number one rule over there.
And I had this big smile on my face, like, I'm ready to compete. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for, like, 5 months at the time. No one knew, like, I won World League Championships and actually know how to submit people. But so I'm there. She looks at my belt and she's like, this girl, who does this girl think she's going to go against, And then it's funny. So my makeup is tattooed on, right? So my lip color is tattooed on, my eyeliner. This is all tattooed on. So everybody thinks I'm like, that wears makeup all the time. No, it's tattooed on. I wake up like this. I always look like this. I fight like this. I train like this. After training, I look like this. So it's a very strategic move or lazy move. I don't know what you want to call it, but this is all tattooed on.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
Like the lips too?
Yeah, it's like
a color?
It's just the color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then this is eyeliner tattoo.
Oh, I see it now close up.
Yeah, whoa. So it's so I never have to put eyeliner. I am definitely not the girl that puts makeup on, you know what I mean? It's like I'm all about, like, natural beauty, but if you can, like, tattoo the little line on, hey, that's good for me. Wow. But yeah, so I went to the IBJJF Worlds, and I mean, there's girls with, like, patches on their things. They're, like, sponsored. Like, this girl comes up to me and is like, oh, I've never seen you here before. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And they're like, I've never seen you in the circuit. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, yeah, I'm newer. And then they're like, did you ever fight that girl? She's so good. And I'm thinking, like, stop talking to me. Like, you have no idea, like, how competitive I am and what I'm about to do to you. Stop talking to me, So, like, it was so funny because I was, like, trying to get into the mindset and, like, I didn't know how, like, it was new for me. Like, for boxing, I'm shadow boxing. I'm doing, like, 3-minute rounds and all that. But, like, with this, I'm like, oh, these people are, like, so curious of, like, who I am. I'm new to the circuit, and new people don't just show up at world championships, that don't know how to tie their belt. And then, so I remember the first girl I submitted, I won't say what I did, but I submitted her. And then my second fight, I submitted her. And then the next girl, obviously they make the brackets. The next girl was supposed to win world championships. And I actually beat her and took her out of going to the championship fight. So then a championship fight, I was against a girl that was really good at a certain move and supposedly gets everyone in this move. and I just smashed her from getting that move, and I submitted her as well. So so I won the IBJFF World Championships, and it was a cool experience. And then right after that, boom, straight to Thailand. Then I learned kicking and Muay Thai and mainly kickboxing. Went to New Zealand, trained over at City Kickboxing, and I trained at a lot of great schools.
I mean, I heard about it. I know you're in San Diego. I'm assuming. I know there's a ton of camps over there. I'm sure you're getting a lot of work. Final thing to the people who are going to be introduced to you on September 15th. What is your message to the new Danyelle Wolf spectators and fans?
Yeah, I feel like I should just start howling like, ow. Everybody start howling like a wolf, huh? Yeah,
that'll be pretty epic when fans come back.
I know, man. It's gonna be sick. I'll have to jump up on the cage and howl like a wolf, right? All my fights will have to be scheduled on full moons.
I like this idea.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to come. Like, I know I'm 0-0 in MMA, but like I said, I'm like over 80 boxing fights, and I have a lot. I have over 80 wins at 152 pounds. Like, I was the reigning champ. Nobody could beat me out in 152, and that was my weight class. That was mine. I was the champ, 152, continental champ, Golden Gloves national champ, 3-time national champ, 152. That was my weight class. And we weigh in 152 for 7 days straight. So 145, easy day in the park. You don't have to make weight once. That's awesome. And but yeah, I know I'm going to be a fighter to reckon with. I'm big, I'm strong, I'm disciplined. I have put in the time these past couple years to train at the best schools, from Alliance MMA to King's MMA to City Kickboxing in New Zealand to Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, Black House, even Floyd Mayweather's gym, the Diaz brothers in boxing, their gym. I mean, I've trained with the best of the best, and Victory MMA, Steel MMA, like you name it. I've been at all the top gyms with the top coaches and just collecting, as much information as I can as a student of mixed martial arts. And that's what it's all about. It's, I fast tracked, this MMA career, if you want to call it. I fast tracked this, and, I haven't been doing MMA for years, but I have been boxing for years, and I've been an athlete my entire life. And I'm very intelligent, so I know what it takes. I know how to be a student. I know how to listen, and I know what's the most important. And, most of all, I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. And when I have a weakness, all I do is focus on making that, a strength. So I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be an athlete to look out for. And I'm excited to see what I can bring, and to just bring the fire back, to the 145 weight division that, it sounds from what you're saying, is losing that spark. So I'm hoping that I can bring that spark back and encourage people to tune into 145, because that's a big weight class, and that's a weight class where there's knockouts, and that's a weight class where, we don't look like little girls, we look like women. So I'm excited to get out there and get my name out there and create my wolf pack,
Well, Danyelle, I speak for a lot of people. I'm looking forward to how it all goes down. Thank you for your time, and best of luck. And remember, guys, Danyelle Wolf will be taking on Tanisha Tennant September 15th, next Tuesday, at Dana White's Contender Series.